Dawn broke across the 10-mile range in fiery slashes of red, flaming streaks the color of blood. Sunrise was always violent in the high country. There were no pink-edged clouds or pale patches of lavender. Such softness wouldn't be right in that raw landscape where men in their stampede for precious metals churned up the mountain's streams until they were trickles of water through mounds of yellow waste rock and scraped the thin topsoil from the land, leaving it naked, bare of anything that grew. Tired as she was, Gracy Brookens stopped her buggy to admire the sweep of color that crept over the dark humps of mountains to the east and cast light onto the tips of the peaks with their honeycombed drifts of snow from last winter, or the winter before. It was past starshine now, and the red slashes were edged with gold richer than anything that ever came out of a 10-mile mine. Swatches of blue, the color of columbines, seeped into the red. The glory of the sky told Gracy there was a holy spirit in that land of greed and struggle, particularly on a morning when she had just birthed a baby in Mayflower Gulch. Not that she needed convincing. The birth of a baby was proof enough. Every baby, she believed, was a miracle of God. The infant had been a tiny thing, no bigger than a gray squirrel, most likely conceived in a mountain meadow, born in a hewn log cabin with nary a window and only a dirt floor for him to crawl on. He'd be bred in the trees and rocks of the mountain peaks, like any other wild thing, brought up by the girl and boy who were only half-grown themselves, young as Gracy's Jeff. It wasn't an easy life ahead. The baby had been born to poverty, would know disease and death, harshness and cold before he was grown, and likely he wouldn't have much book learning. But he'd have love. Those two who formed him out of themselves had love enough to sell. Gracy smiled to remember how the boy had hovered around his wife. Most men didn't want a thing to do with a lying-in. Once the labor pains started, a man usually taken out, rushing off to the mountain edge where he couldn't hear the screams. A man would find a bottle and sit with his friends, talking big, feeling he'd already done his part. Starting the baby had been up to him, but birthing was a woman's job. No need for him to be there. After the child was delivered, the father would amble back, chest out, brash, bragging about the fine young thing he'd whelped, as if he'd done it all himself, saying every now and then, "Well, God."